Cindy stands in front of the three-way mirror in the department store dressing room, her hands clasped together as she stares at her reflection. She is wearing a beautiful flowing dress that hugs her curves in all the right places, but it's just not quite right. She looks down at her hips, her thighs, her stomach, and sighs heavily. She looks up again and takes a deep breath before grabbing the dress and making her way to the checkout counter. When she reaches the counter, Cindy is greeted by a friendly saleswoman who asks how her shopping experience has been so far. Cindy hesitates for a moment before speaking up. The saleswoman hands Cindy a hanger with a different dress on it and encourages her to try it on. Cindy hesitates for a moment before taking the hanger and making her way to the fitting room. As she changes into the new dress, she can't help but feel a sense of hope and empowerment wash over her. She looks at herself in the mirror and sees a beautiful, confident woman staring back at her. Cindy is at home. It's evening, and she's in her PJs, feeling a mix of sadness, self-criticism, and hopelessness as she scrolls through social media. She compares herself to others, feeling like she doesn't measure up. Suddenly, she remembers the supportive saleswoman at the store and the words she said to her. Cindy realizes that she doesn't have to conform to societal beauty standards and decides to take control of her body image. Cindy woke up early, feeling a sense of excitement and hope that she hadn't felt in a long time. She got dressed and headed out to the local clothing store, determined to find a new outfit that would make her feel confident and beautiful. As she walked into the store, she was immediately drawn to a section of clothes that she had never seen before. The dresses were unlike anything she had ever worn before, bold colors, unique patterns, and daring styles. "Hi there, how can I help you today?" asked the friendly saleswoman behind the counter. "I'm looking for something new," Cindy said hesitantly, unsure of how to articulate what she was looking for. The saleswoman smiled knowingly. "I think I have just the thing for you," she said, leading Cindy over to a rack of clothes that were unlike anything she had ever seen before. "This is our new line. We're really pushing the boundaries of fashion here. We want people to feel confident and beautiful, no matter what their body type is." Cindy was taken aback by the saleswoman's words. No one had ever talked to her like that before, as if she was worthy of being celebrated just for being herself. She felt a lump form in her throat as she began to try on dress after dress, each one making her feel more and more confident. "This one," Cindy exclaimed, twirling around in front of the mirror in a bright yellow sundress with white polka dots. "I've never felt so beautiful before." The saleswoman beamed with pride. "That's exactly what we're going for, empowering people to express themselves through fashion, no matter what their body type is." Cindy couldn't believe what she was hearing. No one had ever talked to her like that before, as if she was worthy of being celebrated, just for being herself. She felt a wave of relief wash over her as she realized that she didn't have to conform to societal beauty standards anymore. She could be herself, and that was enough. "Thank you so much," Cindy said, tears welling up in her eyes as she hugged the saleswoman tightly. "I feel like I can finally be myself without fear of judgment." The saleswoman smiled warmly. "That's exactly what we're here for, to help people find their true selves and celebrate them, no matter what they look like." As Cindy left the store, she felt a sense of hope and empowerment that she had never felt before. She knew that she would be okay, no matter what challenges lay ahead. She was finally ready to embrace her true self, flaws and all. Cindy is at home, scrolling through social media on her phone. She comes across a post from one of her favorite influencers, who is wearing a dress that Cindy had also considered purchasing earlier that day. The influencer looks stunning in the dress, and Cindy can't help but feel a twinge of jealousy. Just then, she hears a notification sound from her phone. She has received a direct message from someone on social media. Her heart races as she opens the message, expecting it to be from one of her close friends or family members. But instead, it's from a troll. The message reads, "You're so ugly and fat. Why do you even bother trying to dress up? No one wants to look at you." Cindy feels a wave of anger wash over her as she reads the message. She can't believe that someone would be so cruel and heartless. But then she remembers the words of the saleswoman from earlier that day. You are worthy of being celebrated just for being yourself. Cindy takes a deep breath and types out a response to the troll. Hey there, troll, she writes. I see you're feeling pretty brave behind your keyboard, but let me tell you something. I don't need your approval or validation to feel beautiful. I'm worthy of being celebrated just for being myself, and if you can't handle that, then maybe you should take a long, hard look in the mirror and think about why you're so unhappy with yourself. Cindy feels a sense of empowerment as she sends the message. She knows that she has stood up for herself, and she doesn't care what the troll has to say. She scrolls through her social media feed, looking for more messages of support from her followers. And sure enough, there they are. Dozens of comments from people who have been inspired by Cindy's confidence and self-acceptance. You're a total rock star, one person writes. I've been following you for months, and I've never seen anyone take on trolls like that before, another person says. You go, girl, a third person exclaims. Cindy smiles as she reads the comments. She knows that she has made a difference, no matter how small. And in that moment she realizes that true beauty is about confidence and self-acceptance, not about fitting into some arbitrary mold of societal beauty standards. Cindy sits on her couch, staring at her reflection in the mirror. She's been struggling with body image issues for years, and today was no exception. She had tried on dress after dress, but nothing seemed to fit quite right. She felt like a failure, like she would never be good enough. Just then, her best friend, Sarah, walks into the room. Hey girl, what's wrong? She asks, noticing Cindy's tears. I just feel so ugly and fat, Cindy replies, her voice shaking. I don't understand why I can't just be like everyone else. Sarah sits down next to Cindy on the couch and takes her hand. Listen, you are beautiful, inside and out, she says. You have such a unique look, and that's what makes you special. You don't need to conform to societal standards of beauty. You are worthy of being celebrated just for being yourself. Cindy looks at Sarah, her eyes filled with tears. But what are all the trolls online? They say I'm not good enough, that I'm too fat or too ugly. Sarah pulls Cindy into a hug. Those people are just jealous, she says. They don't understand what it means to be truly beautiful. They're too caught up in their own insecurities to see the beauty in others. You are so much more than your physical appearance, Cindy. You have a heart of gold and a spirit that shines brighter than any dress or makeup. Cindy nods, feeling a sense of peace wash over her. She knows that Sarah is right. She doesn't need to let the opinions of others define her worth. She is worthy of love and acceptance just for being herself. Thank you, Sarah, she says, smiling through tears. I don't know what I would do without you. Sarah smiles back, holding Cindy's hand tightly. You're welcome, my love, she replies. I will always be here for you, no matter what. Cindy sat nervously in front of her computer, her heart racing as she clicked on the link to join the online community. She had been feeling so lost and alone in her body image struggles, and she hoped that this community would provide her with the support and acceptance she so desperately needed. As she filled out the application form, Cindy couldn't help but feel a sense of trepidation. What if these people didn't accept her? What if they thought she was too fat or too ugly to be part of their community? But as she submitted her application and waited for a response, she felt a sense of hope growing inside of her. Finally, the email arrived. She had been accepted into the community. Cindy couldn't believe it. She was going to be part of a group of people who understood her struggles and could offer her support and encouragement. She quickly logged in and began exploring the community. As she scrolled through the posts, Cindy was struck by the sense of unity and acceptance that permeated every thread. People were sharing their stories, offering advice, and supporting each other in a way that Cindy had never experienced before. She felt like she had found her tribe, people who truly understood her and wanted to help her succeed. But as she delved deeper into the community, Cindy began to notice something strange. There were posts from people who seemed to be trolling the community, leaving negative comments and trying to infiltrate the group with their harmful messages. Cindy felt a surge of anger and frustration. How could these people be so cruel and heartless? Luckily, The moderators of the community were quick to address the situation, blocking the trolls and banning them from the group. Just then, one of the moderators stepped in. "Hey there, Cindy," the moderator said with a friendly smile. "Don't worry about those guys. They're just jealous of our positive vibes. Welcome to the community, girl. We're so glad you're here." Cindy felt a sense of relief wash over her as she watched the trolls being rejected. She knew that she had found a safe space where she could be herself and spread her message of body positivity. "Thanks so much," she replied, smiling back at the moderator. "I'm so glad to be here. This community is amazing." Cindy stood confidently in front of her classmates, her shoulders back and her head held high. She had been through a lot lately, being body shamed by her peers, struggling with negative self-talk, and facing backlash from trolls online. But today, she was here to make a stand. "Hey guys," she said, her voice clear and strong. "I just wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind lately. I know a lot of us have been dealing with body shaming and negative self-talk, and I want you all to know that it's not okay." Cindy paused, scanning the room for any signs of resistance or discomfort. But instead of rolling their eyes or jeering, her classmates met her gaze with understanding and solidarity. Some of them even nodded in agreement. "It's easy to get caught up in the idea that we need to look a certain way, dress a certain way, or act a certain way," Cindy continued. "But the truth is, there's no one right way to be beautiful. Beauty comes in all shapes and sizes, and it's time we start celebrating that." Cindy took a deep breath, her heart pounding with anticipation. She knew this was a risky move, standing up to the popular kids who had been bullying her for years. But she also knew it was necessary. She couldn't keep living in fear of being rejected or ridiculed because of her body. "So, I want to challenge all of you to start celebrating your unique beauty," Cindy said, her voice growing stronger with each word. "Whether you're curvy, straight, tall, short, it doesn't matter. You are beautiful just the way you are." The room fell silent for a moment, as if everyone was holding their breath in anticipation of the backlash. But instead of jeers or insults, Cindy heard nods of agreement and even a few cheers. It seemed like her message was finally getting through to her classmates, that beauty comes in all shapes and sizes, and it's time we start celebrating that. "Thanks, Cindy," one of the popular girls said, smiling at her for the first time ever. "I've been feeling really insecure about my body lately, but hearing you say that makes me feel so much better." Cindy smiled back, feeling a sense of relief and empowerment wash over her. She knew she had just taken a huge risk, but it had paid off. For the first time ever, she felt like she had truly found her voice and stood up for herself. And judging by the supportive looks on her classmates' faces, she wasn't alone. "No problem," Cindy said, her voice still shaking slightly with emotion. "That's all any of us can do. Be kind to each other and celebrate our unique beauty." The bell rang then, signaling the end of class. But as Cindy packed up her books and headed out the door, she felt a sense of hope and resilience that she'd never felt before. She knew it wouldn't be easy to stand up to the trolls and bullies who had tormented her for years, but with the support of her classmates behind her, she felt like anything was possible. And maybe, just maybe, this would be the start of something beautiful. Cindy's heart raced as she clicked the post button on her social media account. She had been hesitant to share her experience of overcoming body shaming at first, fearful of being ridiculed or judged by others. But after receiving so many messages from supporters telling her how much her story had inspired them, she felt a sense of strength and purpose that she had never felt before. As soon as the post went live, Cindy's followers began to flood her with comments of support and encouragement. Some shared their own experiences of body shaming and self-acceptance, while others simply expressed their gratitude for Cindy's bravery in speaking out against the trolls who had tried to silence her voice. But as the minutes ticked by, Cindy began to notice a strange pattern emerging among the comments. A small but vocal group of trolls were beginning to attack her, calling her names and making personal attacks on her appearance and character. At first, Cindy was taken aback by the sudden onslaught of negativity. She had been bracing herself for backlash, but this was worse than she could have imagined. The trolls were relentless, spewing venomous words and refusing to let up. But as she scrolled through the comments, Cindy began to feel a sense of anger and determination growing inside her. She knew that these trolls were just trying to silence her because they were afraid of her message, afraid of the power of self-acceptance and body positivity that she was spreading. With a fierce determination in her heart, Cindy began to fight back against the troll. She blocked their accounts and reported them for harassment, refusing to let their hateful words get the best of her. And as she did so, she felt a sense of strength and resilience that she had never felt before. "I won't let you silence me," Cindy declared in a tweet, addressing the trolls directly. "My voice will be heard, and my message of body positivity will spread." And with that, Cindy's followers began to rally around her, flooding the trolls' comments with messages of support and solidarity. The trolls were quickly overwhelmed by the sheer volume of positive responses, and soon they disappeared into obscurity, their hateful words silenced by the power of Cindy's message. As the day went on, Cindy's post continued to gain traction, inspiring countless others to embrace their unique beauty and stand up against body shaming. And as she scrolled through the comments, Cindy felt a sense of pride and accomplishment that she had never felt before. She knew that her message was making a difference, and that she had truly found her voice and stood up for herself in the face of adversity. Cindy walks into the dress shop, scanning the racks of colorful garments as she makes her way to the counter. She's been searching for the perfect dress for weeks, but so far, nothing has quite fit the bill. As she approaches the saleswoman, a tall, slender woman with long blonde hair and a warm smile, Cindy can feel her heart racing with anticipation. "Hi there," the saleswoman chirps, greeting Cindy with a friendly nod. "How can I help you today?" Cindy takes a deep breath, trying to calm her nerves. "I'm looking for a dress," she says quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. "A really special one." The saleswoman's eyes light up with excitement. "Well, you've come to the right place," she exclaims, gesturing to the racks of dresses behind her. "We have some of the most beautiful and unique dresses in the city. What kind of occasion are you looking for?" Cindy hesitates, unsure of how much to reveal about herself. She's always been a bit self-conscious about her body, and the thought of trying on dresses in front of this stranger makes her feel vulnerable and exposed. But something about the saleswoman's warm smile and kind eyes puts her at ease, and she decides to open up. "I'm looking for a dress for my wedding," she says softly, her heart racing with emotion. "But I've been having trouble finding one that fits right." The saleswoman's face lights up with understanding. "Ah, I see," she says, nodding sympathetically. "Well, let me show you some of our most popular styles for weddings. I have a feeling that we might just find the perfect dress for you today." Cindy and the saleswoman are in the dressing room, trying on different dresses for Cindy's wedding. Cindy is feeling self-conscious about her body and unsure if she will find a dress that fits well. The saleswoman is supportive and encouraging, helping Cindy to feel more confident as they try on various dresses. As they finish trying on the last dress, Cindy feels an incredible sense of confidence and beauty. Cindy stood in front of the mirror, her heart racing as she smoothed out the skirt of the dress. She couldn't believe how amazing she looked, confident, beautiful, and ready to take on the world. The saleswoman smiled at her from across the room, a proud look on her face. "You look incredible, Cindy," she exclaimed. "That dress was made for you." Cindy blushed, feeling a surge of self-consciousness. "Thank you," she mumbled, trying to play it cool. But the saleswoman just laughed and patted her hand. "Don't be modest, dear. You deserve to feel beautiful, and that dress is going to make you feel like a queen." Cindy couldn't help but smile at that. She had always struggled with body image issues, constantly comparing herself to others and feeling like she wasn't good enough. But in this moment, with this dress on her body, she felt like she could conquer the world. "You know, I never thought I'd be able to wear a dress like this," she said, looking at herself in the mirror. "I always thought I was too curvy, too tall, whatever. The saleswoman nodded understandingly. "I know exactly what you mean, but let me tell you something. There's no one right way to look. Beauty comes in all shapes and sizes, and you, my dear, are a perfect example of that. Cindy felt a lump form in her throat as she looked at the saleswoman. She had never heard anyone speak so kindly about body image before. It was always lose weight this and tone up that, never anything about embracing what you already have. But here was this woman telling her that she was beautiful just the way she was. "Thank you," she whispered, feeling tears prick at the corners of her eyes. "That means a lot to me." The saleswoman smiled and hugged her. "You're welcome, sweetie, and I meant every word of it. You are a beautiful person inside and out." Cindy looked back at herself in the mirror, taking a deep breath. She knew that this dress was expensive, way outside of her budget, but she also knew that it was worth it. She deserved to feel good about herself, to show off her curves and her confidence. And if that meant shelling out a little extra cash, then so be it. "I'm going to buy this dress," she said, turning to the saleswoman with determination in her voice. "I don't care how much it costs." The saleswoman grinned at her. "That's the spirit, girl. You go out there and rock that dress like the queen you are." Cindy laughed, feeling a sense of empowerment wash over her. She knew that this moment would change her life, not just because of the dress, but because of the message it carried. She was beautiful, no matter what society said, and she was ready to spread that message to the world. Cindy woke up early that morning, feeling determined to take on the day. She had spent the last few days dealing with the backlash from her message of body positivity and self-acceptance, and she was ready to put a stop to it once and for all. She knew that the media had twisted her words and created confusion and controversy, but she was determined to set the record straight. She got out of bed and began getting ready for the day, her mind racing with ideas on how to tackle the situation. She had already written a statement addressing the media's distortion of her message, but she knew that she needed to do more than just release a statement. She needed to take action. As she finished getting dressed and made her way downstairs, she heard the sound of her phone buzzing in the living room. She walked over and picked it up, seeing that she had a slew of messages from media outlets and trolls. She groaned, knowing that she was in for another long day of dealing with the fallout from her message. But as she began to read through the messages, something caught her eye. It was an email from a reporter at one of the major news networks, asking for an interview about her body positivity movement. Cindy's heart skipped a beat. This could be her chance to finally set the record straight and get her message out to the world in the right way. She quickly replied to the email, accepting the offer and requesting that the interview be done in person rather than over the phone. She knew that she needed to be able to look the reporter in the eye and convey the passion and sincerity behind her message. As she waited for the reporter to arrive, Cindy spent the time crafting her message and preparing herself for the interview. She knew that this was her chance to make a real difference, to show the world that body positivity was about more than just self-acceptance. It was about empowerment and freedom from societal constraints. Finally, the reporter arrived, and Cindy greeted her with a warm smile. "Thank you for coming," she said, leading the way to the living room. "I'm ready to set the record straight on my message of body positivity." The reporter nodded, pulling out her notebook and pen. "I've been following your story closely," she said. "Can you tell me what inspired you to speak out about body image?" Cindy took a deep breath, letting her words pour out like a river. "For too long, we've been bombarded with unrealistic beauty standards, standards that are not only impossible to achieve, but also harmful to our self-esteem and mental health. I was tired of feeling ashamed of my body, tired of trying to conform to society's expectations. I wanted to take a stand and show the world that we don't need to apologize for who we are. We are all beautiful, regardless of our size or shape." "Nyan Kyanat, Entat Say?" The reporter nodded, her eyes lighting up with understanding. "I see," she said. "And what about the backlash you've received? How have you dealt with the criticism and negative comments?" Cindy leaned forward, her voice filled with conviction. "The backlash has been tough, but I refuse to let it silence me. I know that my message is important, and I will not let the haters take that away from me. Instead, I've used their negativity as fuel to push even harder for change." The reporter scribbled down some notes, her pen moving quickly across the page. "I see," she said again. "And what do you hope to achieve with your message of body positivity?" Cindy smiled, her heart filled with passion and purpose. "I want to inspire others to embrace their unique beauty and reject societal norms that perpetuate body shaming. I want to show the world that we are all beautiful, regardless of our size or shape, and most importantly, I want to create a movement that empowers women and girls to take control of their own bodies and lives." The reporter nodded, her eyes filled with understanding. "I think that's a message that many people need to hear," she said. "Thank you for sharing your story, Cindy. I'm sure it will inspire many others to speak out about body positivity as well." Cindy smiled, feeling a sense of hope and determination wash over her. She knew that this interview would be the start of something big, something that would change the way people thought about body image and self-acceptance. And she was ready to take on whatever challenges came her way, knowing that she had the power to make a real difference in the world. Right, Cindy sat, and he said though. Cindy sat at her desk, staring at the computer screen in front of her. She had just finished reading an article about herself in one of the local newspapers, and she couldn't believe what she was seeing. The headline read "Local Woman's Body Positivity Message, Twisted by Media," and the article went on to describe how her message of self-acceptance and empowerment had been distorted and misinterpreted by various media outlets. Cindy felt a wave of frustration wash over her as she read the article. She had been working so hard to spread a positive message of body acceptance, but it seemed like no one was listening. Instead, they were more interested in sensationalizing her story and twisting it into something it wasn't. Just then, her phone buzzed with an alert from social media. Cindy hesitated for a moment before opening the app, fearing what she might see. But as she scrolled through her feed, she was shocked to see that her message was being twisted and distorted in all sorts of ways. Some people were saying that she was promoting obesity or laziness, while others were accusing her of being a bad role model for young girls. Cindy felt a knot form in her stomach as she read through the comments. She had always known that there would be some backlash to her message, but she had never expected it to be this intense. It seemed like no matter what she did, she was going to be criticized and judged by others. Just then, her friend Sarah burst into the room, a look of concern on her face. "Hey, Cindy, I saw that article in the paper today," she said. "Are you okay? That must have been really tough to read." Cindy sighed and shook her head. "I don't know how much more of this I can take," she said. "It feels like no matter what I do, I'm always going to be under attack. I just wish people would listen to my message and understand what I'm trying to say." Sarah nodded sympathetically. "I know it's tough," she said, "but you can't let the haters get to you. You're doing something important here, and that's worth more than anything." Cindy smiled gratefully at her friend. "Thanks, Sarah," she said. "You always know just what to say to make me feel better." But even as she spoke, Cindy couldn't shake the feeling of frustration and despair that had been building inside her for weeks. It seemed like no matter how hard she tried, she was always going to be fighting an uphill battle. She just hoped that she had the strength and courage to keep going, even when it felt like the whole world was against her.